Green flag is waved at the back, waiting for the lights to go out then, ahead of a 15-minute race for the Raceparts 750 Formula Championship. And the race gets underway now then. And it's looks like a good start there by Ed Pither from the outside of the front row pole position. Peter Bove slotting in behind him by the looks of it. And then you've got Chris Goff in third. There is the number 39 car going through the shot. That's Matthew Unwin, who started right in the middle of the grid. They head out of Copps even, wrong circuit, down towards Maggots and Beckett's for the first time. And there it's almost side by side for second and third. Peter Bove and Mark Glover, the champions from the previous 2 years. But Andy, on this first lap, it looks like Ed Pither in the PRS is making a bit of a break.
Yeah, it's a grid order for the top 4 or 5, isn't it? But you can see the blue and black number 27 there of Mick Harris trying to make a move and succeeding in doing so, going from 5th possibly into 3rd. Yeah, gets down the inside of both Mark Glover and Chris Goff. Glover fighting back round the outside of the number 2, though. That gives him the inside for Luffield. He moves back into 3rd, runs a bit wide on the cement dust, though. A terrific battle is for 3rd position. It is, though, Ian, all allowing the top 2 to make a break.
Certainly is. And that's Chris Goff there in the number 4 car. And then just behind him, number 27, Mick Harris, the 10-time champion in 750 Formula. But he's been a more infrequent racer in recent seasons. Good to have Mick back out on the grid. We didn't see him in the shortened 2020 season. But there's Mark Glover. And he has had quite a bit of success in the past few years. He won in 2019 and 2018. He was runner-up to Peter Bove in last year's shortened season as well. And those two together on track. But at the moment it's Ed Pither that is up ahead and getting away by about 9/10 of a second, Andy.
Yeah, it's a great camera angle that going into Beckett's, isn't it? Really shows the cars on the limit as they turn into the tight right-hander. Still quite cold tyres here as well in the early laps. Only one green flag lap and quite a short one at that. So taking some of the drivers a bit of time, I think, to get up to speed. Mark Glover, though, is now starting to find his pace, isn't he? He's getting away from this battle for 4th position and closing in on the top 2. It's side by side for 4th place now, as once again Mick Harris tries to find a way ahead of Chris Goff. He gets good speed through Luffield, cuts back to the inside. Ray Barley is right behind them as well, the red number 11. He is the Class B leader, and if these two keep tripping over each other, he could find himself into the top 5 overall.
Absolutely, a real good fight going on that, but Ed Pither has gone across the line again. He's extended his lead now to 1.68 seconds, so it's almost doubled on that lap there. You can see on the timing tower on the left-hand side, you can see the running order at the moment at the end of lap 2. And look at this, side by side between Mark Glover and Peter Bove. There was 0.7 of a second between them at the start of the lap. But Glover was absolutely alongside as they went through Maggots and into Beckett's that time, but he couldn't hang on. And as they head down the Wellington Straight, it's Bove that prevails.
Yeah, Peter Bove hanging on, but dropping back from Ed Pither, who's got over 1.5 seconds in hand over these two. The top 3 in qualifying were covered by only 3.5 tenths. That's pretty impressive pace there from Pither. 4th place is still side by side, and I think they have been for over a lap now. Chris Goff just about hanging on, but through the corners, it does look as though maybe the 27 of Mick Harris is just that little bit quicker. Carries a lot more speed through Luffield, and this time Goff runs even wider than he did on the previous lap. And finally, we do now have that change for 4th.
And he's got to watch out because he's got Raymond Barley up his inside as well as they head down the start and finish straight and into Copps Corner. So let's see if Barley can capitalise, or is Goff going to be able to fend him off? Yes, he is. So Goff holds on to 5th position there. Mick Harris going up into 4th spot, 750 Formula. More than 70 years old now, the oldest championship in the world, we think. And it runs these days with an 1108cc Fiat engine. Used to be in the Mark 1 Panda, and it's been using this engine in the championship now for the best part of 2 decades. Previously a reliant 850cc engine was used. Ed Pither, meanwhile, has continued to extend his lead. It's more than 2.5 seconds now. Question is, can Mick Harris do anything about the cars ahead of him? But he's about 5 seconds behind them, I think.
Yeah, he's lost so much time in that entertaining scrap with Chris Goff, but it was certainly delaying the pair of them. Goff now, though, has his hands rather full of Raymond Barley, who is I'd say the pre-season Class B favourite this year, isn't he? Because Steve Boother, who dominated the Class B Championship last year, has moved up into Class A. He's in the number 7 car, which you can see on the left-hand side of your screen is down in 9th position. But Chris Goff, as he now starts to go on the defensive, is allowing Mick Harris to get away. Harris's previous lap, though, was not as quick as the leading trio.
No, it wasn't. 4.5 seconds now, the lead for Ed Pither, though. It's in a 1 minute 5.04 now. The lap record for these cars set by Robin Gearing, and the car being driven by Peter Bove, actually, a 104.55. So we're not that far away from a lap record, potentially. And we have seen some very quick times set today here at Silverstone already during the course of qualifying. Here is the battle for second, and it's changed around. It's Mark Glover that's now ahead in the blue and black car on the inside line through Luffield, so he's got ahead of Peter Bove. Can he stay there? We've had 5 minutes or so, 5.5 minutes of this race, so still 9.5 minutes to go. Can Peter Bove, last year's champion, now a 5-time champion in 750 Formula, come back at Mark Glover?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see, isn't it? It was Bove that won the championship last year, as you said, but Glover was his nearest opposition. Glover actually went winless in the shortened 2020 campaign, but did have 4 podiums at the start of the year. Oh, sideways and around goes Chris Goff through Copse Corner. The car snapped away from him just as he got back on the throttle there. Thankfully, there's the old pit exit there to the right-hand side of the road, which he can rejoin via, but he's going to lose an awful lot of positions. He's going to fall towards the back of the top 10, possibly even outside of it. So a costly error there from one of our early front runners.
And there is the number 5 car. You saw him briefly. Bob Simpson with a change for second place again. Peter Bove has gone back through on the inside at Brooklands Corner, so it looks like he picked up the toe down the long Wellington straight, got up through on the inside, but Mark Glover trying to come back to him now. Around the outside he goes at Luffield Corner, out of Luffield towards Woodcote, and Glover has got that back. Well, he lost the lead for only a matter of yards there, Andy.
Yeah, this is a fantastic dice, isn't it? The slipstream does play a pretty big part in the racing here on the national circuit. There are only really 3 or 4 corners. The rest of it is just flat out. So Peter Bove in that slipstream now. Let's follow them out of Copse and down towards Beckett's Corner, see if he can get close enough to have a go on the brakes. I'm not sure that he can, but a good exit from Beckett's, of course, could allow him to get that slipstream down the Wellington straight, as he appeared to do a lap ago. Defensive line taken by Mark Glover. That's going to slow him down further on the exit, and Bove, I think here, could be close enough to have another go down at Brooklands.
We'll have a look at that one car I noticed going a bit slowly. Oh, there's another one. The one I noticed going slowly was Steve Boother, number 7. He's dropping back down the order. He's in 10th place now. But let's have a look. Can Peter Bove make this move into Brooklands Corner? Again, he's on the inside line. He's got halfway alongside, but not fully alongside. And this time Glover is able to fend him off. But a real good scrap. Peter Bove there getting very deep into the corner, taking the outside line. And all of a sudden, he's lost, what, 8, 10 car lengths by the looks of it. And we've got that one car that has stopped. That is at the exit of Beckett's. You can see the marshal opening the gate to try and create a space for the car to pull in.
Yeah, not sure who that is, but they're well out of the way. I can see out of the window as well, there's been a spin up at Luffield, so yellow flags at 1 or 2 corners around the circuit for the time being, and that's not going to help Peter Bove's chances of making this overtake. That's the spinner I saw. It's Bill Rutter, isn't it, up at Luffield Corner.
And he's sort of stranded half in and half out the gravel there, which isn't great, is it?
No, it's not. I think he's backed it into the gravel, because when I saw him spin, he wasn't actually anywhere near the gravel trap, so lost it halfway through the corner, and he's rolled backwards trying to stay out of the way. Now, might that, Ian, require a safety car?
We shall see. So there's yellow flags up at Luffield, as you'd expect. The car we lost, the yellow car, Beckett's, I think was Paul Mason, number 67 in the Derby. He was the one that we saw being pulling off the circuit at the back there. So cars coming through, and Pither's just gone through to complete his 8th lap, and his lead going out all of the time. As we're watching on screen, the number 3 car, that's Andrew Kemp. He is in 6th position. And the marshals have done a brilliant job there. They've got Bill Rutter going again. Well, that's marshal power for you. I was concerned we were going to have a safety car or maybe even worse, but great work by the marshals just to get Bill Rutter out of the gravel.
yeah, no damage done to the car either, so he can at least continue on his way, albeit a lap down now from where he was. Through Copse Corner there go Andrew Kemp and Bob Simpson, who now find themselves fighting for 6th position outright. Those two didn't actually start together on the grid, although their qualifying times were pretty even, as was the case through much of the field really. The top three had the legs on everyone else in qualifying, the rest of the pack pretty evenly matched. And that's the remarkable thing about this championship, isn't it, Ian? You've got all of these different cars built to the same regulations, but all built in very different ways, and yet the competition out there is as close as ever.
Absolutely right. It's a fantastic start to the season. I think we had 16 starters. We lost a few after qualifying, unfortunately. Maybe some of those drivers will be back out for race 2 with a little bit of luck. But yeah, the 750 Formula really picked at the amateur designer and constructor and engineer. More recently, Martin Kemp has brought out the race kits that you can build. And there's one of them being driven by St Andrew. That's the race kits Merlin rather than the race kits Falcon, which there are rather more of on the grid. There is the number 89 car. That's Jason Chatton in the PC Special. He's just being lapped there by Ray Barley, who is up in 5th place.
Yeah, good race this for Ray Barley. I don't think raced with us last year, did he? So he's going to come back straight into winning ways as Raymond Barley, you can see him coming out of Beckett's corner. He's lost a bit of time in traffic, hasn't he, here? So Andrew Kemp and, for that matter, Bob Simpson are not that far behind. And, of course, they are a pair of Class A cars that might have in theory, a bit of a performance advantage. In the slipstream there, Kemp launches an attack up the inside, and he's going to move through. There's no sense there, is there really, in Barley fighting that. He's still leading the class, and just drops down 1 position overall.
Yeah, the class in 754, a bit different to in some other forms of racing. It's all about the driver's past performance and positions, rather than a different specification of car. And they do also score points in the overall championship as well. Ray Barley did race last year, by the way. He finished 10th in the championship, did Ray, and I'd be pleased to be running in 6th place here, ahead of Bob Simpson, who's been racing at the championship for more decades than we care to remember. So we've had 11 3/4 minutes of this race now, getting towards the end of the 15-minute race. It's Ed Pither, we've not seen a lot of him. That's way out in front, of course, number 69, the PRS 1B. I can tell you for 2nd place, there's just over a second between Mark Glover and Peter Bove at the moment. So we are watching this scrap for 5th and 6th between Andrew Kemp and Ray Barley. Kemp having got past Barley half a lap ago. This is a slower car that he's coming up to lap at the moment, so not one that he particularly needs to worry about. And they're turning their way through Luffield now, this 1.6 mile national circuit that lends itself so well to really great racing, lots of slipstreaming action as well in certain categories. And there's Kemp going through to complete his 11th lap of the race, Andy.
Yeah, really underrated circuit this. I think it does produce some fantastic racing. We've seen plenty of it already in this one as we move now into the closing stages. And yes, Ian, you're absolutely right. Ray Barley, what confused me, it's easily done after all, is that he's moved from Class A to Class B this year. So yeah, he even got a top 5 finish overall towards the end of 2020. There's the man they're all chasing. Ed Pither then moves his way up through Luffield once again to go on to what won't quite be the final lap, but we're certainly inching towards the end of this race. And this, I think, is what we can call a dominant performance, isn't it? He's over 12 seconds clear, and given the fact he only had a 10th and a half in hand after qualifying, that tells me that he's really found some performance since qualifying this morning.
Yep, absolutely right. He's done a 105 dead, so he's not got quite as low as the lap record, which I thought he might do at one point. Of course, this, on a spin, that's number 39, Matthew Unwin. He was in 9th position, but he has had a moment by the looks of it, and I don't think he's going to get that car going again, it would seem. I was talking about Ed Pither, and that car's had success in the past. It won the 2015 championship in the hands of David Bartholomew, who's raced it on occasion since. And now there's some damage there, some bodywork in the road as well, so I wonder if there was some contact.
I would tend to believe there might have been, yeah, and I think that's come off his car, hasn't it? So some front bodywork potentially. Yeah, there's a wing mirror attached. Oh, there you can see it. It's it is indeed the front bodywork that's come off. Now, whether that was part of the contact that spun him or whether someone collected him once he'd already gone round, we can't tell you, but that unfortunately will require a bit of repairing.
Last lap board is about to go out to the man on your screen. That is Ed Pither, the man from Shilton near Coventry. Heads over the line now to start his final lap of this 1.6 mile circuit. And it's been a faultless display, this really, from Ed Pither, way out in front of everyone else in this car. Good battles down the field that we've seen, though, and I can still see that there's only half a second between the two for second and third, Mark Glover and Peter Bove, but Ed Pither actually making this race very much his own.
Yeah, Pither's not going to be caught now, he says, touching wood. But second place absolutely up for grabs. I did spot that as the second and third place cars came through. They were a little bit closer than they have been for a number of laps. Peter Bove just launching another late challenge, and you can see them in the background actually getting even closer now as they go on to the Wellington Straight. But Ed Pither heads through Brooklands for the final time, and he's almost home and dry.
Yep, absolutely. There's the battle for second place, though. Bove, is he going to have another look at the inside into Brooklands corner on the last lap? It looks like he is. And Peter Bove goes through and takes second place away. Now, can he hang on to it? Meanwhile, Ed Pither is heading up towards the line, but Glover's going around the outside. Ed Pither is going to go through to take the checkered flag, but will stick with his battle for second throne. And Glover has made it back through around the outside at Brooklands corner, at Luffield corner. And Glover, after all of that, is going to get second place with Peter Bove, last year's champion, in third. There's Ed Pither. You can see he's already taken the checkered flag, well clear of the rest, but it is going to be second place for Mark Glover by just under half a second in the end.